no three-point shots, only a deuce. That's indicative.
And there's Randolph Childress. And a lot of attention will be paid to Randolph today. He leads the ACC in scoring at 21.3 points per game. Duke has won 7 straight against the Deacs here. They've dominated all time and have won already this season in Winston-Salem. And the Deacons win the opening tip. And quickly they go underneath the Rogers, and he drops it out of bounds.
What a terrific pass, though. I mean, that's indicative. There wasn't a lot of caution there.
Hurley head up against Childress. Wake collapsing in that zone that has served them so well during this streak where they won 7 out of 8.
Well, I'm not quite sure what it is. It may not be a pure defense. We need a little more movement by Duke. It's certainly collapsing, but there was some man follow in there. It could be something like a boxing one or a 1-3-1 chaser. But we'll have to see a little more movement. For sure, they are not challenging the perimeter shot right now.
Childress all the way through, puts it in. Boy, he took early, drove him right to the basket.
Boy, he really did, and that's tough to do against a Duke defense. It's built on the help side, and there just wasn't any.
Grant Hill from the line ties it. His first 2. On the wing, here's Owens going strong to the hole, and a foul on Antonio Lang.
What? The two-guard instinct by Childers here. He's not looking to set up anybody, being challenged by Hurley. He accepts the challenge and doesn't quite blow by, but he uses his strength and size to edge him out. The weak side help for the Blue Devils. Too little, too late.
Trelawney Owens, a 66% foul shooter, misses this one. Deacons 71.2 coming into the game.
I think it's really crucial, Bob, for the Deacons to find another double-figure score. We can assume Rogers and Childers are going to get theirs, but Lucas or Hicks or Trelawney Owens have to step up and have that big double-figure game. 15, 18, I think, if they're going to do well in here. I think it's a collapsing man, at least on this possession.
Hurley missing, and with the rebound, Derek Hicks, the ACC's leading rebounder in conference play at 10.2 a game. Rogers, nice move.
Right now, Wake Forest taking what they want against the Duke defense. Easy entry passes to Rogers underneath, and he fumbled one out of bounds, or drives from the perimeter to the basket.
Parks tried to shovel it to Lang, and it's out of bounds off Rogers' hands.
The psyche for Wake, I think, is important. A good start here, coming off the game they had at Florida State, where they didn't play that badly. They just ran into an awesome performance by the Seminoles.
Grant Hill has both Duke field goals, 5-4.
I'm sure Dave Odom says that's the lesser of evils to have him shooting outside.
Lang saves it and throws it off the leg of Rogers. Good ball. Duke coming into the game today with 19 victories and 6 in a row. Dave Odom's ball club has won 15 and lost 4. And what a great streak they've put together, including just a complete thrashing of Temple in Philadelphia last Sunday.
Boy, and they kicked the Yellow Jackets in Atlanta, too. I'm looking forward to that rematch next Saturday in Winston-Salem.
Hurley through the lane and lays it in. 6-5 Devils.
Well, so far, defense is what you put around the yard. Everybody's kind of doing what they want.
Rogers to the bucket. He's got 4, and the Deacs go back on top. Hurley takes a look at what this defense will give him. Parks knocked out of bounds. Collapsing man, I believe, is what the Deacons are trying to do here.
Yeah, but I think before this day is over, Duke's going to see some zone. Perhaps the outside shooting of Grant Hill early may give Dave Odom some second thoughts about that, but zone has been good to Wake. Here's Hurley saying Duke can play that game, and he goes by Childress. We got a couple of nice one-on-one matchups here. The two-point guards should be an exciting afternoon. Both of them have huge egos.
Thomas Hill puts Duke in front by 1, and number 5, Stacy Castle, the freshman from Far Rockaway, New York, is into the Wake lineup. He's been playing much better in practice, Dave Odom tells us, and he's earned some more playing time. And Rogers is off to a hot start. Rodney was 6 here in the first half, and the Devils, during his 3 years in Winston, have been able to put the clamps on Rogers. He hasn't really had that big game that he's had against so many teams.
Right now, Bob, Tony Lang shaking his head. And part of the problem is Duke is not getting the pressure on the ball. They're finding Rogers easily.
Hart's inside. 10-9, Duke. Castle, offensive foul, trying to get Hurley out of the way.
There's that in-your-face defense by Hurley. Castle has really got to settle down. He's an attack guard. I mean, this is a Far Rockaway, New York guy that a lot of shake and bake and quickness, and he really likes to penetrate. And the challenge of Hurley, I think, there just got him to lose his cool a little bit. McQueen had a huge debut in here as a freshman. And I think the Wake people are hoping Castle can have that same kind of performance.
Stacy's finding out what it's like to have to guard and play against Bobby Hurley in these 2 trips down the floor. One on the offensive end, he's got Hurley sticking to him like flypaper. At the other end, Hurley rubs him off his screen and Castle can't catch up.
This is called Crash Course to the ACC. Yeah. I've seen that before.
Inside. Nice play by Grant Hill. 12-6 Duke. Rogers. Here's Childress. Goes back for 3 and missed it.
Cute little hop to get behind that line.
Thomas Hill. Lang the offensive rebound and rejected by Blukins. The guard from Girard, Pennsylvania makes his presence felt. Time out on the floor. We'll be back after a word from our good friends at Bud Drive. Mike Krzyzewski's Blue Devils out in front by 3, 12-9 here with 15:44 left in the first half. Dave Odom, his ball club, ending a tough road stretch that saw them win at NC State and win at Temple before losing at Florida State. So far, the Dukes are 4 out of 6, Dukes 6 out of 10, and the Blue Devils have it as play resumes.
Wake Forest stays man for man. I thought we might see a change out of that timeout. I think Duke prefers to play against the man.
When they faced the Georgia Tech zone here Wednesday, stagnant in the first half.
Yeah, they really did stand, didn't they, Bob?
Then their defensive intensity increased in the second half, and the offense came over. Thomas Hill for 3. Boy, he did that all night against the Jackets when he tied his career high with 26.
The least publicized of Hill, and Hurley. Tremendous athlete with a great stroke. I think he's going to have a future at the next level. And he's a terrific defensive player, which people just forget.
Rogers off to a hot start. He'll shoot 2 as Lang draws his second personal.
Rogers getting the ball at will. Normally it's much tougher for him. I'm sure Mike Krzyzewski's concerned about his overall pressure. He's coming with some substitutions now.
Marty Clark and Eric Meek check into the Duke lineup. Lang and Parks go out.
Setting a defense for a team like Wake Forest is when you start your planning is pretty easy. Okay, we got Rogers, we got Childress. We got to keep those 2 guys from, dominating the game and make the other 3 guys beat us. And so far, Childress and Rogers have pretty much been able to operate at will.
As Rodney hits the free throw, he's got 7. Rogers and Childress have scored 9 of the Wake Forest 10. Tremendous numbers for Rogers, 5th in the conference in field goal shooting, 10th in free throw shooting. And already 8 points as Owens comes back in the ball game, and Derek Hicks will get a breather.
Replacing Derek Hicks.
Duke 15, Wake 11.
Dave Odom making a comment about resting his players. He says, I got those double wides like Owens and Rogers. He says, Duke has those greyhounds that can run forever, so I've got to be more concerned about going to my bench and rotating my people. It'll be warm in here.
Meek was held by Owens. First foul on the Bladenboro, North Carolina junior.
Against Wake Forest, Trelawney Owens. His first personal.
Krzyzewski talked about going into this part of this long, tough part here with 4 games in 8 days and 5 in 11, and trying to get to a 9-person rotation. He's worked very hard at it.
Hurley up and in for 3. Duke by 7. Rogers. Grant Hill ahead to Hurley. Leaves it for Clark. And Grant Hill puts it in. He's got 8, and Duke just like that, a 9-point advantage, and Wake Forest is going to talk about it. Dave Odom watching this one slip away just a bit. Halts the proceeding with 14:03 to go in the half. Back after a word from our good friends at Budweiser.
The Deacons down by 9, and they're running into another buzzsaw. Duke at its best in transition, keeping the dribble alive. Nice kick out to Marty Clark from Hurley. He draws a crowd, kicks out to Grant Hill, who hits his 3rd medium jumper just inside the stripe.
A 12-2 Duke flurry has put the Blue Devils in front by 9, 22-11. Owens. Trelawney now with 3.
By number 40, Trelawney Owens.
Pulls Wake Forest within 7.
Wake Forest not fooling around against that Duke defense. I mean, it's 1 or 2 passes and a shot.
Hurley isolated on Childers. Grant Hill recovers near steal. Hurley to Eric Meek. And here come the Deacons, and up ahead Randolph Childers. In the middle it goes, and the jump shot won't go for Travis Banks, but the Deeks hang on to it. I'd like to remind you that the announcers for this game selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports, and the use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited. Bob Rathman, Bucky Waters at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke 20 and Wake Forest 13. The Deeks have had great success on the road this season. This one slapped out of there, but Childers slapped again. Here's Owens going to work. Randolph for 3. The Deacons second in the country in 3-point percentage. Get the turnover here. And that's the second one for the Blue Devils. Off his foot, Grant Hill dives, saves. Hell ball.
That turnover at the other end, Bob. Bobby Hurley leaving his feet. And this is a habit he's, I think, picked up just starting in the conference play. He's getting very hyper going down in there. He used to stay under control, keep his feet on the floor, and it's causing him a few problems. He's just not big enough to get up over people.
Changes as Cherokee Parks and Kenny Blakeney check into the Duke lineup.
Now we're going to see a zone. A flat 3-2 with Derek Hicks at the top at 6'9".
Inside the Cherokee, and a foul on Bluegrass.
Well, I'm amazed that Bobby Hurley can see through Derek Hicks at the top of that zone to find Parks underneath.
Duke does such a great job, and when you've got a guy like Hurley, you can. Penetrating zones and getting the ball in the middle of the lane against a zone defense.
I feel this way about Hurley. You know, Leitner last year a Player of the Year, and Danny Ferry a few years ago a Player of the Year. I believe Mike Krzyzewski is going to find replacing Bobby Hurley next year tougher than replacing both of them combined. He's just done so much for so many for so long. They just take him for granted.
Cherokee Park with 4. Duke leads by 9. Had some daylight and nailed it. Sophomore from Clinton, North Carolina. Hometown of Terry Holland. 22-15.
Well, the defense in this game is like Wake back to man for man, but both teams just going down there and getting what they want.
Parks. Good defense by Hicks. And he comes away with a rebound. And brings it up to Childress. Tries to make something happen. Lucas for a wide open three.
They might as well play skins and shirts. I mean, that's the way you play it in the schoolyard.
But Lucas can really take some of that pressure off Childress if he can. Oh, a great double team by Lucas. He paid the price on the collision but drew the charge. Lang's third foul. But boy, did Lucas do a terrific job to come over and double team.
It's called choking down. Lang just didn't see him coming, and I believe they butted heads is what happened.
And into the game for
Lang paid the price with his third foul. Lucas with a shot to the head.
Yeah, but Trelawney Owens set that up with good defense. He wouldn't let Tony Lang make the turn baseline, forced him back into the help defense, and when Lucas came, he went about a half a step too far.
Barry Canty. Excuse me, Rusty LaRue has come into the ball game, the freshman from Oak Ridge, North Carolina, quarterback of the Deacon football team. He's in for Lucas. 22-18. Wake can get close here. Parks commits a reach-in foul. Let's see if they call that a shooting foul.
I believe Derek Hicks was thinking about it, but not a good foul. You don't like your center to get those. You like your center to get fouls that are kind of devastating, make water come to your eyes and make you think twice about coming down the lane, not when the guy's fading away for a jump shot.
Now the crowd is a little upset going into their gyrations behind the shooter, but Hicks forgets about all that and puts in the foul shot. Turned 23 years old on Wednesday, Derek Hicks. He has really developed into a tremendous rebounder.
Out of Raleigh, out of Anderson Junior College, and believe me, Dave Odom has given him a little more freedom offensively. I asked Dave about it this morning. He said, well, he's earned it. I've always known he could hit that little 15-footer. I just didn't want him taking it, but he's earned that right.
The Deacons have cut it to 2. Thomas Hill is open, and Barry.
You just can't come off of Thomas Hill to help on anybody. He's shooting 70% going into this game against Wake Forest.
Oh, Grant Hill's hurt. Hill is hurt. Rogers going to work on Parks, puts it in, and time is called. Let's see if we can see what happened to Grant Hill.
Great match. A little tug on the lingerie there.
Into the game for Wake Forest, number 25.
And Grant will stay in the ball game.
What you see, an ankle turn? I really... Yeah, those two have been at it before. And they were teammates on the development team against our dream team preparing for the Olympics. The reviews out of that by the NBA people liken Rodney Rogers to a young Charles Barkley. Wow.
Grant just kind of walking off the injury. Hurley faking, gets Childress going, and we've got a foul on Childress before the shot. First foul on Randolph. 24-22. The Deacons have done a good job getting back into this ball game. Dave Odom called that timeout when it was a 9-point game, and the Deacons have cut it to 2.
Well, both teams scoring at will, but they just came off one of those. They were shooting 61% at the half in Tallahassee, and they were down 13. They shot 57 for the game down there and lost by 17. So the problem's at the defensive end. The Deacons can score.
Andy Blakeney is fouled. Yeah, you score 94 points and lose by 17. Not a good thing.
Well, some teams fire the defensive coordinator, but basketball, you don't do that.
6th team foul against Wake Forest.
So Grant Hill going to the bench. And they're taking a look at that ankle, I believe. Dave Engelhardt, the trainer, down on one knee. Here's Kenny Blakeney going to the foul line. 68% foul shooter this year, leaves this one short. He was a big reason why Duke was able to survive that Clemson game earlier in the week. Blakeney off the bench to score a dozen against the Tigers.
Krzyzewski credited Blakeney and Collins for great performances off the bench. Otherwise, they would not have escaped Tiger Town.
25-22 Duke. Hicks. Thomas Hill throws it away. Hurley saves it. Boy, I thought that was going to go out of bounds. Thomas for three.
Duke showed 2-3 zone down the last time. I think it caught Wake napping a bit. Hicks had a wide open shot at 15 feet, which is a shot I'm sure Krzyzewski's willing to gamble on.
Here's Blakeney over Blucas. And the rebound by Travis Banks. Blucas for three. And Hicks takes it away from Clark. Childress. Randolph hasn't gotten into the rhythm yet.
But he's getting shots for Blucas and Rogers, which is his job today as point guard.
Hurley forces one. Thomas Hill is there, though, for the stick back. Thomas with 9. Duke by 5.
Wake, one of the better rebounding teams in the conference.
Great feed from Hicks to Rogers. Rodney with a dozen here in the first half, and his 27-24 Devils.
I don't think Duke was unified on the defense that time. They switched from zone back to man, and everybody didn't get the signal.
Clark on the floor to the bucket. And get a foul on Wake Forest.
Well, Marty Clark drew that foul. He was well defended and just made a thrust at the basket. Wake Forest coaches concerned about that one.
17 foul called against Wake Forest. Into the game.
Rodney moving without the ball. It wasn't even a good pick. It was just a little bit of movement. Duke just not ready to play on the defensive end.
Marty Clark stepping up to the foul line, and has he been sensational this season? 92% at the line, and in ACC play, he's hit 21 out of 22.
Duke fans will never forget those free throws he hit in the Final Four against Indiana. Coming off the bench cold. He's a very confident free throw shooter.
5 out of 6 he hit. Marty was a promising baseball player, but suffered a rotator cuff injury in the 9th grade. Boy, at tender age to have that kind of an injury.
If he was throwing curveballs, I'm sure most batters would say, well, good for you, because nobody can hit the curve. The really smart pitching coaches try not to let those youngsters break it off until they get a little older and a little stronger.
Hicks travels. Duke with the ball and a 4-point lead.
Oh, the Deacons can't be thrilled with seeing Hicks at the top of the key. That has not gone well.
4 turnovers for the Deacons this afternoon. Ranked number 9 in the country, the highest they've been in the polls since 1984 when they were 8th best. They've made a terrific run to the top of the ACC, and now we've got a foul call, and this one's on Blucas. That's his 3rd. He and Marty Clark got tangled up, and boy, Dave Odom's got a word for Larry Rose in front of that Wake Forest bench. Let's see what happened.
Being rubbed off. Thomas Hill rubbing off the double screen. Well, unless Marty Clark slid over at the last minute, it sure was contact. And it had to be on Blucas. He hit him right in the chest. I think that's one area of the screening. There's an awful lot of moving screens that aren't called. They're just kind of accepted.
So Marty Clark, 1 for 2 at the line today, has a 1-and-1.
Everybody's running this motion offense and the interchange of people. In the real theory of screening, you've got to be stopped and stationary, and especially when you're screening from the back. But everybody seems to be playing the same kind of offense, and it's just a given. There's going to be bump and grind. And the bonus
throw is good. Monty with 3 for 4 at the line today. We've got a time on Duke leads by 6. We'll be back after word from our good friends at Budweiser. Along with Bucky Waters, Bob Rathman back at Cameron. Duke leading 30-24 here with 7:59 left in the first half. The Blue Devils had some free throw difficulties earlier this season. We harken back to the Oklahoma game when they missed 11 in a row and squandered a 20-point lead only to win in overtime. But look what they've done here lately. In the last 6 games, 81.2%. That's outstanding.
That's one of the things Mike Krzyzewski has carried over from Bob Knight, that they get to the line, they make more free throws than their opponents shoot, and it really catches up with you at the end of the game. When you're playing against the other team's reserve, you put pressure on all day, and if you're a good free throw shooting team, it should put you on easy street. Tournament time, free throws really count, and certainly Duke has proven it there.
Hicks has some difficulty. Here's Rogers. Now Rodney backs it out.
Duke has stepped up the defensive pressure.
Rogers gets the roll. 14 first half points for Rodney Rogers. The most that he's ever had in one game against Duke, 19.
Yeah, but that time Wake Forest had to work. They had to work for a good shot. Earlier in the game, the defense just wasn't making that happen.
Thomas Hill. And Rogers the rebound. Childress down the lane. Tried to scoot it to LaRue, and it's out of bounds. 30-26. Dave Odom's club trailing by 4. 5 turnovers for Wake Forest.
Stacy Castle, a real cameo, came early for Wake Forest. We expected to see him play with his quickness and penetrating ability coming for Blucas, but he had a turnover
and those 2 quick fouls.
Yeah, and he's been gone.
Artie Clark misses and Hicks rebounds. 30-26 Blue Devils.
Boy, Meek versus Rogers at the top of the key somehow looks like a mismatch. So does Trelawney Owens and Clark underneath. There's some strange matchups down there.
Owens out of bounds.
Didn't that look like it went off early to you?
I thought he might have gotten a little hand in there.
It sure did to me. That's great. I even got stripes on today. I'm in good shape. That Bearcat will love me.
30-26 Duke.
LaRue on Thomas Hill, freshman on senior. Look for Duke to exploit that.
Early had it batted down and punched ahead to Randolph Childress. And politely lays it in. Good play by Owens.
Childress with only 4 points, and the Deacons are within 2. That is a tremendously good omen for Dave Odom and his team. You would figure without Rogers and Childress going off in here, they'd struggle.
There's that matchup you were talking about, Bucky, but T. Hill couldn't get it to drop. Childress trying to explode past Hurley, and this time he draws the foul. Bobby's first.
There's that 2-guard mentality. Play tough, expected to kind of handle the ball and get things going. But when you challenge Randolph Childress, most of the time he'll take it, as will Hurley. All of the good things, smart things that Bobby Hurley does, he will forget a little bit about time. If you come up there and challenge him, he wants to beat you. He may take it a little quick.
The Deacons can tie the game with a 2, take the lead if this one goes, and LaRue's got it to put Wake Forest on top 31-30. Rusty LaRue with his 5th three-pointer of the season. And the Deacons have come from 9 down to lead. Thomas Hill way short, and the rebound to Hicks. Childress head up, takes a look at a lot of white jerseys, and pops the 3, missed it. Grant Hill fouled by Rogers. First on Rodney. With only 5 precious fouls, you hate to pick one up like that.
Yeah, but inside of 5 minutes first half, as assertive as he's been, that wasn't too bad.
9th team foul against the Deacons.
31-30, the Deeks on top. They have picked up 4 road ACC wins this season. That's the most in 11 seasons.
You know, we had them early, at least I saw them against Florida State, and they just didn't have much confidence, and they lost to the Seminoles in overtime in Winston. But now this team has a definition and a confidence that, boy, those road games will give it to you. And they've done it, I think, 2 ways. One, going away from trying to pressure everybody man for man, going to more zones. Second thing I think they've done is they've moved Rodney Rogers around. And when you get a great player like that and you run the same offense, but he comes at you from 2 or 3 different places, it drives you nuts in preparation. You'd almost rather they go with different sets to exploit their star player. And he's thrived on it.
Hill goes 1 for 2 at the line. Tied at 31. LaRue hit one from that same spot a moment ago. This time turns it over trying to feed Rogers.
There's that senior experience. Great athlete. Folks, he doesn't have Velcro gloves. Those are just great hands. They're playing more man than I thought we'd see in the first half. It's been good to him.
Parks strong to the bucket, overhits to score. Cherokee with 6, Duke by 2. Off the glass, Duke comes the other way. Hurley. Fortuitous bounce to Collins. Inside, Thomas Hill. Parks got a hand on it. Punched out of bounds, Duke ball. 3:49 left in the first half and a 2-point game in Durham. Duke 33 and Wake 31. We'll be back in a moment. ACC basketball is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Cherokee Parks has scored 6 points here in the first half of the Blue Devils. You see him going to work inside here.
Key to that move, no bounce. Also, very little help. Hicks cannot handle Parks under there one-on-one. What you have to know, though, is from whom are you helping? You don't help from Hurley, you don't help from Thomas Hill. If you help from Grant Hill, that's a pretty good risk if he's at the 3-point line. Having said that, I believe Grant's 4 for 4 today on medium jump shots. So that's why coaches get the big bucks.
33-31 Duke with the lead and the ball. Hurley. And that's a foul on Childers. And boy, that's very close to a technical on Randolph. Larry Rose came in to make the call. Childers had that definitive bounce of the ball. Boy, Hurley was just going to go to the bucket no matter what.
4th and 1. Jim Taylor of the old Green Bay Packers would have been pleased with that ball coverage.
Second foul on Childress, and Hurley will shoot.
Rose reached for that whistle. I thought Randolph was going to handle one.
Bobby sneaks one in, his 6th point of the ball game.
Remarkably few turnovers. Wake Forest 7, Duke only 4 this half.
National Player of the Year candidate, averaging 18 a game in the league, scores his 7th, and Duke leads by 4.
Only a total of 10 points in transition for these two teams.
Low numbers.
Yep. And that really hurts Duke.
Owens runs over Parks, picks up his 2nd foul.
Terrific defensive play by Cherokee Park. A 6'10 guy made the fake like he was going to come after Trelawney Owens. Shot, held his ground, got good position, and Trelawney put it on the floor, which he can do pretty well. He was just outfoxed. Good defensive move there. You can be moving defensively as long as you're maintaining your position. Good call.
Interesting, Bucky. The Dukes are picking up the fouls. 11 personals on Wake Forest in the first half. Duke with 5. And some foul difficulties here. Parks missed it, but the loose ball goes to Collins. He'll take the 3 and bank it in.
There's a little divot up there in the glass. I think probably he overclubbed about 2, but it went down.
38-31 Duke from the foul line. Hicks misses. Just out jumped Hill for that rebound, and this one is taken care of by Rodney Rogers. 16 in the first half. Keeping the Deacs within striking range, 38-33.
Only had 15 in the entire game in the first time out, which was a pretty good game for a half in Winston.
2.5 to go in the first half. You see the second chance points today. First chance for Grant Hill. Short, and Rogers has the rebound. Deacs are running. They've got the numbers, and Rogers down the lane, and that's a blocking foul on Collins. Boy, the guts of a second-story burglar to take a charge on Rogers. Or an attempt to. Got called for the blocking foul.
Boy, that surely could have gone either way. Boy, Collins. His daddy was tough. Old Doug was tough. He inherited some real risk-taking genes there. That's the ultimate driving machine at high speed coming down that lane.
Rodney 2 at the line. Make it 3 of 3. 17 in the first half. Last week's ACC Player of the Week, as he had that great game at Temple when he scored a career-high 34 and preceded that with 21 against the Wolfpack.
Dave Odom's got to look up there now, 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and say, we're in great shape here. You know, we're playing the nation's #3 team, all the Cameron mystique and all of that, and we're hanging tough. And our big gun, Childress, has 4 points.
Way up it comes to Owens. Rogers on the floor, stopped by Grant Hill before the shot. First foul on Grant.
I do believe Grant Hill forgot that Rodney Rogers was left-handed. He came up on him slightly off center to the inside, and most of the time you don't want anybody to go baseline, but certainly the left-hander from that side has a big advantage. One of the reasons Rodney was able to get that drive is he has earned respect for his outside shot. I mean, people have to come out to 3 and play him.
Bucky, he's a 49% three-point shooter.
Yeah. Interesting with Rodney, he's got a great post game, stick backs, everything on the block. He's got a great game now at the 3-point line, but in between at the next level is where he's going to need some work. Some spin moves, you know, just a little finesse to get from one to the other.
20 first half points for Rodney Rogers as Marty Clark comes back. And Grant Hill goes out.
So Rodney's a junior, and he's from Durham, Hillside High here. But there's some speculation this may be his last trip to Durham if he opts not to be a collegian next year.
Wake has scored the last 6 to pull within 1, 38-37. Duke leading, under 2 to go in the first half.
Both teams really have toughened their defense.
Shot clock at 20.
First 8 minutes of this game was like course.
Collins, long 3, airballs it. Hicks comes out of there with a rebound. Ahead to Rusty LaRue. Across to Banks. Rogers scoops it and hits it. Rodney Rogers with 22 in the first half. And Wake Forest has taken the lead, 39-38. Ours to combat. Charlie Harrison looking on and smiling as the Deacons have taken the lead. T misses. Rebound fought for. Collins into the hands of Clark. 50 to play in the half. Hurley baseline. Fouled. And that is going to be number 3 on Randolph Childress.
That's one he wishes he had back. That reach against a player with the quickness of Hurley is not very good percentage, and he is so crucial. Despite the fact Childress only has 4 points, he really has taken care of business out there in terms of controlling the game on the offensive end.
Stacy Castle back for the Deacs. as Childress is forced to the bench with the 3 personals. He's got 3. Owens, Castle with 2. Mark Blucas has picked up 3 fouls.
It'll be interesting now with 49 seconds with Castle and LaRue in the backcourt. If Duke were to come down with some full pressure, 2 very inexperienced ball handlers back there, Duke might gamble to see if they can pick off a couple and get a little momentum here with a couple steals and get this crowd rocking. I'll be amazed if they let those rookies walk it up in here.
If Hurley makes it, and he does, let's see what happens. 9 points for Bob. No, they are going to pick him up at half court. That's the 9th lead change we've had in the first half. That's the game clock that you see. The shot clock's about 3 seconds ahead of that.
With this cast of characters, I don't think there's much doubt about who they're going to look for.
Might it be this gentleman?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. He may give it up once more. He may not. Who knows he's going to make the move.
Rogers with 10 seconds. Hicks back to Rodney.
Pass.
Nice pass. Great lay-in for Rogers. And the Deacs lead by 1. Hurley with 3, 2. Loose ball. Parks. That's a buzzer. It goes. And the Dukies take a 1-point lead at 42-41.
It seemed that every loose ball the last 7 or 8 minutes went to... And rebounding has been a concern for Duke all year.
And there's Hicks. He said earlier this season that he patterned his play in rebounding after Tree Rollins at Clemson. Well, you couldn't pick a much better big man to pattern your game after when it comes to rebounding. He led the ACC to Tree in 75 and 77 in rebounding.
Except for one thing, one's like a little pine tree and the other one's a redwood.
Well, here's one of the Rogers out of the start of the second half. Wake Forest had the ball. They go right to him, and Rogers just gallops right down the side of the lane to lay it in. Not a good sign.
Not a good sign at all for Duke. Just dribbling the ball, laying it up against their defense is just not something people are accustomed to seeing.
Thomas Hill misses. He's now 4 of 13 from the floor. The foul was called on Derek Hicks. It will be his second.
The other night against Georgia Tech, Duke trailed by 2 at the half. They were in this kind of a game, except they were down 2 instead of up 1. And what happened was they came out furious on defense and broke the game open. That's not a good omen for the Duke fans.
Rogers finds Childress for 3. Got it. Randolph, uncontested that time by Hurley, drains his first 3 of the game, and Wake has its biggest lead at 4.
Wake Forest is second nationally in three-point percentage at 48. They can do it. They can do it. Are isolating Childress. That's not what Krzyzewski wanted. Not a jump shot. He wanted Hurley to attack Childress and try to get that 4th foul.
Childress driving, dumps it off to Owens for the jam. And Mike Krzyzewski's going to take a timeout. Things are not going Duke's way, and the Blue Devils are going to stop the clock. It's a Wake Forest surge to start the second half, and the Deacons lead by 6.
Rodney Rogers, 9 for 11 in the first half, picks right up where he left off. Look at this. Just absolute matador defense. 3 people punched his ticket, and he laid it up from the top of the key. Childress penetrating, draws a crowd. Trelawney Owens buries it, and that brought a quick timeout. A furious Mike Krzyzewski. Watch now. The timeout isn't over. He says, folks, I'm talked out. You either get out there and sick them, or we're going to get beat. I got nothing more to say.
Thomas Hill finds Grant Hill. T for 3. Got it. Second three-pointer of the day for Thomas Hill.
I don't think Coach Krzyzewski's talk got to that level of detail, but it was something like that he wanted to see. Mostly, I think he wants to see defense.
I think he wants to see his team get excited about playing defense, too. Here's Owens missing. Grant Hill saves it. And into the hands of Thomas Hill and ahead to Hurley. Parks. 5 straight after the timeout, and Duke's within 1.
Rest assured that somebody either taped that talk or took good notes. Whatever he said, it worked.
Owens inside, puts it in. Trelawney's hit a couple of tough shots here in the second half. 50-47 Wake Forest. Number 10, Rusty LaRue back into the Deke lineup. Thomas Hill scoops short, rebound Rogers. He'll play it ahead, and he runs into Hurley, and that's a foul.
I'm not sure Hurley could have got out of the way of that, even if he wanted to. Talk about acceleration. Rodney, watch this. The lead boulder in an avalanche. Well, excuse me. The amazing thing is Hurley didn't hit his head on the floor. Yeah. He was hit hard enough to do it. The Deacons now in a matchup zone.
Thomas Hill loads up, missed it. Hasn't been able to hit 2 in a row today. Here's Childress. Hicks from 15. That shot just hasn't gone for him today. Out of his range.
No, he's not hit it, and there's absolutely nobody on the boards. There's 5 white jerseys were the closest to that board.
Parks just took it away from Rogers. Tried to squeeze in a bounce pass to Lang. The held ball will give it to Duke.
Duke has not gone after Childress yet. Trying to get that 4th foul. Grant Hill, they really haven't gone to Grant.
He scored 9 in the first half, but I think too that maybe that ankle's a bit sore. He twisted in the first half. Hasn't shown any sign of a limp, that's for sure. Rogers steps in and steals the bounce pass. 3-on-1 with Clark back. Rogers, boy, difficult pass to Hamlin. He kicks it out of bounds. Spacing that time a problem for the Deacons.
Looked like 2 semi-trailers side by side on an interstate, trying to make a delicate exchange. I mean, I think Rodney gave the ball up to Trelawney Owens and said, "Steam it and drain it." And Lonnie went into kind of a little cruise control there, tried to give it back, and that was just a little too much passing for those huge bookends.
Still a 3-point Wake Forest lead.
The Deacons have been resilient. Took that surge by Duke. Just kind of held it around.
Well, Parks just, with the drop step, just powered his way to the bucket that time.
Boy, he's been doing it all over offensively. Good moves inside and hitting that outside jump shot.
Childress looking for a screen. Boy, dangerous bounce pass, but Hicks controls. Rogers inside. He's got 28. They have been unable to stop it. And really, Bucky, they've been unable because he moves around so much to deny him the ball.
Well, I made that point. When you have a great player who can come at you from 3 or 4 different positions, it's absolutely drives you nuts defensively because you never know where he's coming from. You almost wish they'd come at you with different sets. He is a great player.
Parks, if you've noticed, has taken off the goggles as Owens buries it. Cherokee with 14. Cherokee's been playing with those goggles all season, but sans the eyewear here in the second half.
Nice.
Antonio Lang's first basket of the game. Pulls Duke within 1, 54-53. Foul inside, it's on Clark. Marty's first.
Marty's a pretty tough kid, but isolated down there on the box as he was with Rodney Rogers. I don't want to say mismatch, but Bambi and Godzilla come to mind there. The muscles on Rodney Rogers. Marty Clark's got me saying, "Get me out of here."
Childress missed it, but Hurley got him. And that's the second foul on Bob.
Foul is called against the
54-53. Deeks. Banks is in. And it's going to be Derek Hicks to go out.
Oh, that leaves the Deacons with a very small lineup out there. Rogers is very tired as well.
Parks is out. Eric Meek is in for Duke. Childress, about an 80% foul shooter, picks up his 8th point of the game. He has been so hot. 20 of his last 29 threes he's unsuccessful. Short with this foul shot. Rebound Rogers to Childress for 3. Yes! Randolph Childress, his 2nd three-pointer of the game, and the Deacs lead by 5. Clark, and that is going to be a foul on the Deacs. Scooter Banks with his first.
Wake Forest now back in a 1-2-2, kind of a traditional 1-2-2 with Childress at the top. We saw a little bit with Hicks at 6'9" at the top, but the Deacons didn't stay in it.
Clark, baseline. Eric Meek, fouled by Banks. And Travis has picked up a couple here in rapid succession.
Boy, the Blue Devils see zone and they think dribble penetration. I mean, most teams think pass, rotate, cut, pass around the outside. They just take the ball, drive it in the crease, you know, convene a little group there of different colored jerseys, and then just pick out something. They really attack a zone.
Eric Meek, 6'10" sophomore, made his first collegiate start against Georgia Tech here on Wednesday night. Puts in his first point of the game. He had 5 points and 3 rebounds in the first matchup. Won by Duke, 86-59. Today, different story. Deacs by 4, 58-54, with 14-13 left. Like a guy's getting ready to putt. It gets so quiet in here. 58-55.
Thomas Hill now on Rodney Rogers.
Childress in and out, but the rebound goes to Owens. Oh, he throws it behind Rogers. Clark hustling, it's out of bounds to Duke.
Haven't been many of those today against the Duke defense that normally generates those.
Only 10 turnovers for Wake Forest. And the thing about the turnovers, Bucky, Duke hasn't been able to get it and go with those turnovers and get those transition baskets.
They've been deep, that's why. They've either been dead ball or deep.
Banks, nice power move up and in. Scooter's got 4. The Deacs have a 5-point lead.
Their defense is such a pride factor for Duke. And what's troubling to them now is they're getting beat down the floor, and the entry passes are going in, you know, almost at will. You could say they're tired. That's a possibility, but Wake Forest is just, they came out smoking and haven't quit.
Thomas Hill for 3, 15 for T. He's got 3 threes in the game. 60-58. Owens beats Meek. Daylight buries it.
Jelani Owens a little quick for Eric Meek on the perimeter.
Jelani in double figures with 11. Here's one of those double-figure guys you were talking about, other than Rogers and Childress. Clark. Down the lane goes Lang. Rogers rebounds. 62-58 Wake Forest.
This is going to be a struggle for Duke unless they can get their defensive pressure up and get the ball out and get some breaks. If they stay in a half-court game, they're going to struggle all day.
Thomas Hill with the personal, his first. And changes. Here's an update from Clemson. The Tigers still leading Virginia 54-51 in the second half. Well, that Clemson team, Bucky, is awfully tough at home. They go on the road and things fall apart, but at home, some kind of tough.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good athletes. They've had some people in and out all year long. I think they're going to be dangerous at tournament time, and I still think they have a shot for the big dance, but they've got to do it quick.
Banks up and in, and you wonder about Grant Hill still on that Duke bench.
There doesn't appear to be any ice or anything going on, but He's certainly been sitting there a long time after going 4 for 5 in the first half.
64-58. Hurley for 3. Rebound to Owens and taken away by the Devils. Clark had it blocked by Hicks, and Owens has got it. Boy, the long arms of Derek Hicks saved the day for the Deacons that time down the floor. Childress, number 4. He threw the forearm to try to clear Hurley and picks up his 4th foul with 11:39 to play. And immediately Dave Odom goes to get Stacy Castle. We've got a timeout on the floor in Durham. 64-58 Deacons. Back after this from Budweiser. ACC basketball coming up Wednesday night from Chapel Hill as the Tar Heels take on those Clemson Tigers. That comes your way at 7. And then on Thursday night, the Blue Devils hit the road as they go to Charlottesville to meet Jeff Jones and the Virginia Cavaliers, also at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Earlier today, Florida State with a victory at Maryland to take a half-a-game lead in the ACC. The Tar Heels play tomorrow when they go up against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in Atlanta. There's a look at the standings. The winner of this game takes over sole possession of 3rd, and of course Clemson leading Virginia in the second half down at Death Valley, so that could really throw a blow to the Cavaliers.
Had a chance to visit with Jim Valvano on Thursday, and he's really looking forward to doing that game in Atlanta with Carolina. He missed a few assignments, but he was feeling frisky and talking hoops. It was good to see him.
In fact, we saw one note where the last time Duke lost on a Saturday at home was against Jimmy V and the Wolfpack in February of '88. The foul was on Rodney Rogers. And Bucky, that's his 3rd. Childress has 4. He's on the bench. So the Deacon foul difficulties with their key players. A big story now in the second half.
Duke really hasn't taken advantage of that, though. In this half-court game, they haven't isolated and driven. It's been pretty much... when they get back in it, it's been from out there.
Thomas Hill pulls Duke within 3. Grant Hill still on the Blue Devil bench. Rogers turns, scores. He's got 30. For the 4th time this year, 30 or more in a game. Deacons by 5. Away. Blucas went diving for it, but it's out of bounds to the Devils.
Terrific effort by Blucas, who had never scored against the Blue Devils before today. It's given him a nice afternoon.
A reminder, friends, to stay tuned for the Players of the Game Award brought to you by Nations Bank. Kenny Blakeney, number 4 for the Blue Devils. 66-61, Wake Forest, 10:33 remaining.
Freshman Castle out there on Hurley. Dangerous matchup for the Deacons. A lot of experience there, even though Castle's a terrific athlete.
Gives Hurley a little room. Bobby penetrates, and we've got a foul. His 3rd on Castle.
That's all Bobby needs is a little room. Terrific high school career in Far Rockaway, New York. Kind of thrust into the limelight here with the injury to Harrison. And he and Blucas in that backcourt, there's just not a lot of experience there. I got to believe that Krzyzewski's looking at that rookie pair out there and saying, boy, I'd really like to go get those guys, but I'm looking at my team and they look a little heavy-legged right now. Maybe I better save it.
The Blue Devils move into the bonus. 10 minutes and 16 seconds, and they're going to be shooting the rest of the night. And look at Wake Forest in terms of the Duke team fouls. They won't be in the bonus for a while. Duke with only 3 fouls so far here in the second half. Randolph Childress and Trelawney Owens back for Wake Forest, and there's Randolph. Picked up his 4th foul at 11:39, so he wasn't on the bench long.
Well, it's a calculated risk by Dave Odom. I think it's a good move. I think if he's going to get a win in here, he's got to get a full cup from Randolph Childress. I expect the Deacons will go zone, however. Here's the press. Not as effective now as it might have been with those rookies in the backcourt. I think that's what it was intended for.
Rogers zips it to Blucas for 3. Got it. Nothing but net for Mark Blucas, his second 3 of the game.
One of those high school centers, great stand-up jump shooter, and the Deacons have found him today so that he could do his thing.
Thomas Hill missed it, hit the shot clock. It's out of bounds to Wake Forest.
The top of the board is inbounds. The shot clock is not. All the edges are good. Childress now will be challenged by Hurley. He got his 4th foul on a charge. And Hurley's the kind of a guy that can come up there and just kind of tantalize you into making the move. And he's so quick, he can still draw that charge.
Childress bumped, takes it, and hits the shot. Randolph with 13, 9 in the second half. 71-63, and Wake keeps pulling that lead out. It's now its biggest of the day at 8. Parks fouled, and Rogers just picked up number 4.
Yeah, again, when you got a marquee player fouling a guy going away from the basket, it makes your stomach churn if you're the coach. That's not a good percentage. Cherokee Parks posting up, sees a sea of yellow jerseys, goes with a fadeaway. Just not a good percentage.
Into the game for Wake Forest.
So Rodney will have to come out with 4 fouls and 30 points in favor of Scooter Banks.
I think that'll be a cameo too. There's an interesting stat though about Duke. With all their experience, all of the big games they've been in, they're only 4-3 record-wise in games that have been decided by 10 or less. I find that absolutely amazing. You know, obviously with their pressure defense and their fast break, they blow so many teams away. But you think with good guard play, which they have, good coaching, which they have, good defense, that is just an amazing stat. You'd think they'd be very, very good in the close game. That free throw shooting again being one of their strengths.
Parks got his goggles fixed, has him back. He's got 16 points. 71-65. 9 minutes to play. Owen blocked by Lang. Duke is running. Hurley for 3. That'll bring the house down. He has done it so many times, it seems routine. When Duke needs the big 3, there's number 11. Childress. Parks has it. Out to Hurley. Duke trailing by 3. Turnover.
Boy, terrific pursuit that time by the Deacons. Hicks, who could have said, I'm going to rest on this one, hustled back, got his hand on the play.
Randolph was very close to a 10-second violation as he approached midcourt. And a foul on Blakeney. First down, Kenny. 8:04 to play. The Wake Forest lead was 8. It now stands at 3.
4th team foul against the Durham.
Rodney Owens catching some air right now. Just 8 minutes left. I think we can see for his re-entry quickly, because those big guys are not that valuable when you're either chasing or protecting a lead at the end.
Mark Blucas hits another one. His 3rd three-pointer. And the Dinks go up 6. Boy, that kid's hit a couple of big shots here in the second half. Hurley. Yes. Bobby was 16. 74-70 Wake Forest. Hicks, gun shy, feeds it inside, blocked, and a foul. And the foul will be, I believe, on Lang.
I wish I had a good answer for why Grant Hill is not out there, nor has he been.
And he is at the end of the bench with trainer Dave Engelhardt. And I'm wondering, Bucky, if that ankle that he turned in the first half might be bothering him. There you see the All-America.
The Blue Devils, number 21, Antonio Lang. It's his 4th
It has to be injury. He was 4 for 5 at the half and came back in the second half, but we have not seen him since very early in the second half.
4 fouls on Antonio Lang as he comes out. Marty Clark comes back. 7:15 to play. A 74-70 lead for the Deacons is Lonnie Owens. Steps up. Lonnie with a big day of 12 points. Had a big game against the Tar Heels when they knocked them off in Winston-Salem, when he had a big first half in that game, scoring 12 of his 16. And he puts Wake Forest up by 6 on a timeout on the floor. 7:15 to play in nervous times at Cameron. Duke trailing. We'll return after this from Pepsi. It's time now for the Pizza Hut delivery of the game. And if Wake indeed pulls off the win here, they'll look to young Mark Blucas as one of the men who delivered in the clutch.
A very unusual delivery pass for a three-point shot. It was a frozen rope along the baseline, a line drive. Normally that skip pass goes over the top, but the Blue Devils were not building their defense from the baseline out. And Rodney Rogers, who scored enough on his own, has decided to make his teammates a little bit better.
3 threes for Blucas. Deeks by 6. Blakeney seized the opening but missed the shot. Randolph Childress looked out from behind. Rogers still on the Wake bench with the 4 fouls. Childress playing with 3.
Last time down the floor, Wake Forest was in a box and one. Blucas had a man-for-man assignment on Thomas Hill, who's really the logical scoring threat out there right now, with the exception of Bobby Hurley.
Kenny Blakeney's second foul. 16 fouls on Duke. Wake ball out of bounds with 6:41 to play.
Yeah, you pointed out very accurately earlier, Bob, about the disparity there. 8 for Duke and 8 for Wake Forest and 6 for Duke. That's pretty well balanced out now at 6:30 to go.
8-point Wake lead as Owens has scored his 15th point. Clark, Hurley, 3, short. Rebound Owens. The Deacons have lost 7 straight in this building. The last time they won here was in overtime in 1985.
But they're playing so well over these last 8 games.
Childress short, but Owens is there with the offensive rebound. He missed the shot and tipped in. I think Park's got a hand on it. They'll give the bucket to Owens.
Deacons out hustling the Devils right now. When you're getting those second efforts off the board, that's desire.
Clark pumps, hits.
Nice move.
Marty with 5. 80-72. 5:40 to play.
Blakeney and Clark now getting critical minutes here.
Lang on the bench with 4 fouls for the Blue Devils. Childress spins in. Short. Fights for the rebound, but can't control it. Blakeney has it. Over to Garrick.
Childress is hurt, Bob.
Childress, in fighting for that loose ball, had Blakeney all over him. And the Wake trainers are out to check on him. Well, when you're going for that ball and you have somebody land on you.
Boy, he's a warrior. 4 fouls, all of that, coming off a year of knee rehab. Here's the play. Just great hustle effort. He and Blakeney. Look at the play by Blakeney. Has enough presence of mind to pick that ball up and kick it over. Blakeney just looked like falling on Childress' head. Castle coming back in,
along with Rodney Rogers. So Randolph will be out. And I would think for just a minute or two, he can shake it off. He's standing by the Wake bench. And they could go in as one-time allowance. Yep, he's going to go right back to the scorer's table. 80-72, Wake Forest.
Lucas still tracking Thomas Hill. Matchup box.
Wake Forest has been shooting lights out all day long. Here's Parks. Missing. Hicks fights over Lang for the rebound. His 10th rebound of the game.
And they can't say the defense worked. If you're in a box and one, the one, which in that case was Thomas Hill, is really not supposed to handle the ball.
Hicks from 15, short. Hicks has been unable to hit that shot today, has been Derek Hicks. Still the Deacons lead by 8. Clark.
Nobody on that offensive board for the Devils. And I think Dave Odom would like to take a little more time down here offensively.
Faces Castle, Blucas inside Rogers. Shot clock at 25.
There's no pressure on the ball. Duke not putting pressure on the ball.
Blucas, his 4th three-pointer today. Mark Blucas with a dozen, and the Deacons lead by 11.
Devils missing Grant Hill defensively, and certainly they're missing him offensively. They're like a tired fighter right now, and Wake just won't give him room to breathe.
Clark.
Oh, what a move.
Marty was 7. 83-74. Casey Castle working on Hurley. This is Hicks. 3:35 to play. Virginia has taken a 3-point lead at Clemson. Lucas, not this time. Rebound ball knocked out of Lang's hands by Hicks, and Rogers retrieves.
Huge break for the Deacons that time. But, you know, all afternoon it seemed that Duke managed to get that careless loose ball.
Rogers fouled on the drive. And it looks like Thomas Hill is the guilty party. His 2nd personal. 83-74, the Deeks lead, and here's what they've got coming up Wednesday at home against the Maryland Terrapins. Then the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets come to Winston-Salem. Still road games at Clemson and Carolina, and home games with Virginia and State. So in terms of the home court, heavily in favor of Wake Forest, and what a terrific job, Bucky, they've done on the road.
Absolutely. Over the last 8 games, they've just been a different basketball team.
This one is out of bounds to Duke.
Dave Odom contending that Marty Clark just kind of shot-putted that ball out of bounds, but it'll go to the Devils.
Timeout on the floor. We'll be back after a word from our good friends at Budweiser. Our Pepsi game summary. Mr. Rogers, the Durham Bull, has had a terrific day. 30 points. He's missed only 2 shots. Duke, and perhaps the biggest key for the Blue Devils here is what has happened to Grant Hill. We haven't received any word, but he played only the opening minutes of the second half, then went to the bench, has not returned. And here's what happened on that Rogers miss at the front end of the 1-and-1. Wake Forest claiming that Marty Clark right here throws it out of bounds, but the ball went over to Duke, and they will have it as play resumes. 2:52 left. Along with Bucky Waters, this is Bob Rathbun at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Wake 83 and Duke 74, each team with 2 times out remaining.
Deacons still in the box and 1, but they're letting Thomas Hill handle the ball. That could be expensive.
Out of bounds, Duke with it. 2:44 to play.
There are 2 guys that can burn you now from 3 out there. Thomas Hill and Bobby Hurley.
Hurley for 3. In and out.
Boy, didn't it? Huh? That did 2 victory laps and came out.
Childress, that's a block on Hurley. Tried to work around the Hicks screen. Bob picks up his 3rd foul.
Dave Odom has got to be squirming on a bench there. That is so close to a charge on Childress, and he's already got Charlie Harrison, his other point guard and ball handler, on the bench next to him with injury. I'm sure he doesn't want to go into this last 2 minutes and 30 seconds with rookies in the backcourt against what you know is going to be a furious assault by the Blue Devil defense.
Boy, the Deacs have missed 2 front ends of 1-and-1s here. One by Rogers and one by Childress. Probably 2 guys you'd at least expect to miss front ends. Particularly with the Deacons leading here and playing so well. Hurley misses. Rebound, Lucas. Gives it to Harrison, and Randolph, banged by Parks, now brings it up. Randolph goes through, stops, pops, and hits.
Boy, was that a tough shot. One more dribble, and he would have eaten that ball because the Blue Devil defense was waiting for him. He's a terrific athlete.
85-74. Timeout. Duke, they could not get a receiver, and Lucas's pressure forced Thomas Hill to call the timeout. 1:59 to play. The Deacons looking to spring the upset. Will return after this from the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Believing in yourself is the basic underlying theme of winning anything, and from there you start to pick up on hard work and determination. I swim long events, and there's a really direct relationship between the amount of work that you put into it and what you get out of it. It's probably in swimming one of the most direct relationships of any sport. When you put in the work, be it in the classroom, be it in the pool, you can't be denied what you deserve.
You know, when you're young and you have strong legs and lots of wind, you think you can play forever.
Wow, was that you?
But the game ends all too soon. And if you aren't ready for life's game, you could be facing a bleak future. Hey, do yourself a favor, kids. Stay in school, use your library, and read.
Obviously, I don't play the game anymore, but due to my education, I talk a pretty good one.
This is Mike Krzyzewski in the Duke huddle. As the Devils are trying to put a rally together, they are going to have to score a lot quickly. They are down 11 with a minute 59 to play. This is the last Randolph-Childress basket.
He had enough momentum to split the defense, but enough athletic ability. And here's a guy who had tremendous knee surgery and rehab to pull up, get gathered, and hit a very tough little 8-foot shot. Mike Krzyzewski spent about 3/4 of that timeout trying to get Larry Rose's attention.
Collins missing. And Childress has got it. And you just have the feeling, Bucky, that it isn't the Blue Devils' day. Those threes that they've counted on to get him back have been falling short. Childress. Over to Lucas. He lays it in. Count it. And a blocking foul on Duke. And the Deacon bench and the supporters from Winston-Salem are going bananas. Boy, they are loving it coming over here to Durham. There aren't many of them, but boy, they're having a great time right now.
Lucas should be an inspiration to all of us who spent time on the bench and had their day in the sun. What an afternoon he's had. He's shown clutch threes, not known as a penetrator. There he takes it to the basket and just would not be denied. What a game he's had.
Wake Forest 87, Duke 74 as Lang is disqualified. And Mike Krzyzewski is flinching on the bench to get a substitute in. Now as the time expires, Cherokee Parks will come in.
Into the game for the Blue Devils, number 44.
87-74 Deacs with 1:40 left. Well, Wake Forest, each of the past 2 seasons, national championship years for Duke, they've been able to knock off the Devils in Winston-Salem.
Somebody will think of that in the Blue Devil camp, but it's painful right now. A minute 35.
Early, all the way through, up and off, and the rebound goes to Hicks. And he's fouled by Parks. 1:30 remaining. Charlie Harrison, Dave Odom, and the Deacons. 90 seconds away from the victory here at Cameron. And a big story, the fact that Grant Hill was not able to go here in the second half.
Well, you got to balance that too. Charlie Harrison didn't even dress coming over here, and I watched the Deacons at a shoot around this morning, and I told everybody on the crew here, I said, boy, they were confident and had a lot of bounce in their legs and smiling, and you know, after what happened to them in Winston-Salem, to come over here without their starting point guard and the pressure in Cameron and all, I mean, they had a litany of reasons to be woe is me. They were very positive, very loose, and they played that way all afternoon.
Derek Hicks has scored 4 points today. He's had a bushel basket full of rebounds, and the Deacons lead by 15. Clark. Nope. Marty gets it back and rolls this one in. Timeout, Blue Devils. So Clark gets the bucket. His 9th point. It's 89-76. The Deacons had lost. Mike Krzyzewski still discussing things with Larry Rose, and you see Dave Odom gathering his Deacons. Wake had lost 7 in a row in this building. Their last one here we mentioned was 1985. They had lost 6 out of 7 by an average of 16 points. That's not the case today. Wake has just taken this game over in the second half. Now for the Blue Devils, if they lose today, they're going to be 7-4 in the conference, and they've still got to go to Virginia State and North Carolina, 2 ACC home games, and a non-conference matchup with UCLA 2 weeks from today. And here's a look at the ACC standings. And the reason we point this out, Bucky, is because of the implications when it comes tournament time, NCAA tournament time. You've got Florida State, North Carolina rolling, and now Wake Forest leapfrogs Duke. You got to be thinking, with the ACC tournament accepted, what implications this will have in terms of seeding for the NCAA tournament, because the Blue Devils have had a 1 or 2 seed here for the last 7 years.
That's true, and of an immediate nature, Duke has to go to Virginia, and of course the Cavaliers have already won in Durham, and now Virginia coming off a big road win at Clemson. But I think the most important thing for Duke right now is a couple of days off. Right from the beginning, their defense was poor.
Hello. Rodney Rogers with 32 puts an exclamation point on what's going to be a big Wake Forest victory. 91-76. Parks down the lane, ladies and gentlemen. Duke has run out of, it's a lot of timeouts. Under a minute to play. Owens, the bounce. Rogers again. Counted, and a foul on Clark. My goodness. Oh, a smile from ear to ear for Rodney Rogers. He scored 34 today in his hometown, and look at this one.
Trelawney Owens with a nice little bounce pass. I mean, it's a highlight film. The guys on the 6 o'clock news are going crazy. They don't have enough time to show all these great moves. They've got to be selective, but they've got some menu to choose from. Dave Odom, of course, too, spent many years here in Durham as the coach at Durham High before going to East Carolina and then the University of Virginia, and of course now head coach at Wake Forest.
Rodney, if he hits this, he'll have a career high. 35 points for Rodney Rogers. 94-78. Hurley missing. Rebound Owens. Hurley with the foul. Well, it's incredible to think that Bobby Hurley has lost only officially 1 home game. If in 44 seconds it would be 2. How many juniors get to this stage of their 3rd season and have lost only 2 home games? But for Duke, it just didn't happen today. Give all the credit to the Wake Forest team and Deacons.
Yeah, the defensive intensity, that signature of Mike Krzyzewski's Duke teams over the last 7 or 8 years wasn't there today. We saw Wake Forest come down and basically get inside, get outside. It just wasn't there. And normally he can rally them, but the last 10 minutes of this game, they've really been like a tired boxer, and they just couldn't get its opponent to get those few lucky punches in. The Deacons were magnificent, well prepared, confident, right from your shoot around this morning.
And your point, Bucky, about Duke is such a good one. Here's a ball club that on average gives up 68 points per game. Today they have given up 96.
Only one team has shot 50% against Duke this season. That was Georgia Tech on 2 occasions.
Collins, his bid for back-to-back threes.
And I guarantee you the final stats, Wake will be over 60% today. So when you analyze that over the whole schedule, one team, Georgia Tech, the only team to shoot over 50% against Duke. They did it twice, and for the Deacons to come in here and just have their way, I'll tell you what, the next time the Blue Devils practice, there will be some emphasis on the defensive end. But that's all right. It's a long season. Nothing really, really important happens until March and April.
But it's a day for the old gold and black. They'll be talking about this one for a long time. Owens hits a career-high 20 points. Kalani has scored 17 in the second half.
Still a mystery there. It has to be an injury. If so, what kind? How long?
Owens puts them both in. 28 seconds left. Coming in for Wake Forest, Bobby Fitzgibbons, number 42, gets a chance to be a part of this victory. 98-81 Deeks. Collins from long range. 98-84. And here's Blakeney with the steal. That three is blocked by Rogers.
What's Rodney Rogers doing on the floor with 16 seconds and a 14-point lead?
Enjoying himself.
Yeah, he is, but all I can see is that tired guy like that turning an ankle or something.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. 98-84. Collins scoops it up and in. First with 11, but too little too late.
Boy, that last three of his was from Hillsborough.
I guess so. Here's Rasmussen. David in the ball game, and that's going to do it. The final score from